Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel where we are answering your questions directly. These are questions that we've gotten from our Patreon viewers. These are questions that we've gotten from YouTubers. So either way, we're going to answer your questions. Keep in mind that these questions, we can only answer them in general unless you give us very specific data and are willing to let us discuss your case online. Other than that, we're going to answer, generally because that's the best we can do. If you want to see the full version, the unedited version of these videos, then you're welcome to join us on Patreon. And if you want to bring your questions to us directly and discuss them off air because maybe that's best, you're also welcome to join us on Patreon for that. Having said that, let's get to it.
All right. First one comes from a guy with two first names, Grant James. Honestly, buddy, I can't remember if James is your first name. If it's James Grant or Grant James, I don't know which.
I was gonna say I know him, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, James. Grant.
He used to join us in the meetings. James. I haven't seen you in a long time, buddy. Hope you're doing okay. But what he says is, as Overwatch asked in the previous video, are other countries as friendly to us or will overlook our criminal past? Again, we did answer that one already.
But we'll do it again.
But because he's actually asking a different question. He says he was looking at Hungary because houses are so cheap to buy there and they have a long-term visa residency via home ownership. Portugal and Spain were other places for retirement/disabled with fixed income that I am also interested in. Yes, Portugal. Spain, I don't know about their retirement situation, but I know Portugal, they still do have that D9, I believe, visa for retirement. Hungary? Yeah, I'm sure houses are pretty cheap in Hungary.
Yeah, because nobody wants to live there.
There's a reason why.
For the record, Hungary is not high on our list of places to live.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of that has to do with politics and a large measure of religion.
Yeah, you'd have to, aren't they? I think they're a dictatorship too.
Sure they are. Well, they won't say that.
Yeah.
I mean, Russia's not a dictatorship.
They have a lifelong president. Yeah, the houses are probably cheap there, and everything's probably cheap. The food's probably cheap. All the costs of living are going to be relatively expensive. With your fixed income, I'm assuming that's what you have, fixed income in the U.S., some like disability or pension or SSI, whatever. You're going to have to use that through an American bank account. So you're either going to have to withdraw cash from a local ATM if you can, or use a credit card to pay for things. I mean, they'll take euros, but I've never been to Hungary.
My nephew just spent like 2 weeks there.
Sure, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. But let me add one thing that pops into my head. Here in Germany, and I'm going to use my office as a direct example, I have a lot of people who work for me from those countries. And when people are coming to Germany seeking employment from Romania, from Bulgaria, from Hungary, from places that are escaping me at the moment, there's a reason they're coming here to work. And it's because the economies where they come from aren't very good, or the political systems are, to call them corrupt is probably a kinder way of expressing it. So I always think about the fact, Polish people do not come to work for us. Why would you leave Poland? Strong economy, strong on freedom. Nobody comes from the Czech Republic here. Nobody. I've never met a Czech person working in Germany. Why would they? The economy is strong there, lots of freedom, government is very stable, strong social network. So when we're talking about countries like you're naming, Hungary, Romania, etc., if those people are coming to Germany, there's a reason they're leaving. There is a reason the houses are cheap. When I keep bringing this example up, but when I was in Tromsø in Norway, I just by chance looked at the housing market, just out of curiosity, because I'm always comparing housing in other countries to Germany. And houses in the Arctic Circle in Tromsø are very inexpensive because nobody wants to live there. Yeah, but I like the cold.
I mean, yeah, there's plenty of places you can go. I mean, well, actually, I think somebody actually asked this question later, so I'll get to it. But there are places you can go that's very easy to live, very easy to get citizenship. But there's a reason why.
Exactly.
You know, there's always a reason why. So.
And maybe that fits your particular needs. We're not saying that it's not a good fit for everybody.
Right.
But I mentioned, I think in the last video also, if you're a member of the LGBT community, the answer is no. Those places are not friendly. More than just my opinion. That's the opinion of the European Parliament at the moment. For the record, I have not heard these questions ahead of time.
Steer clear of Eastern Europe. Clear of Eastern Europe.
Am I supposed to be offended as a member of that community?
Okay, thank you, Grant. That was
good to hear from you, James.
Question, man.
Grant.
Hopefully.
Grant, James.
I mean, hopefully we see you again soon. Come back to the meetings, man.
Let us know how you're doing.
Sundays, every week. Okay, last one is from Elena. Also haven't seen you in a while at the meetings. I'm sure you've been busy. Hope everything is going okay for you guys there. If sole family members are permanent residents or citizens, is it possible to be released into and do federal probation in Germany?
Let's take it one step at a time.
Okay, so yeah, if person A is in prison in the United States, but they have family, mom, dad, brothers, sisters, who are residents or citizens of Germany, can person A, who is currently incarcerated, be released into Germany to do probation, to live with their family?
Let me jump in on that one for a second.
Please.
My partner is in prison right now in the United States, I'm sorry to say, and he has another few years to go. We did some homework and found out that the state of Florida, and in fact, all 50 states, participate in something called the International Prison Compact. Now, you're already familiar with the Interstate Compact, which allows an inmate in Minnesota to transfer to a prison in Florida, you know, if the two states can swap prisoners one for one. Totally possible. It happens every single day. It is also law in Florida and the other states that international prisoner transfers are permissible. But let's talk about the reality of that. Florida is never going to let somebody leave the country on probation or parole, especially if they're going to enter a country like Germany where they're almost guaranteed to be paroled immediately. Because Germany does not recognize those ridiculous sentences that Florida hands out. So while there is a law in place, the reality of it, and we're talking about the reality of the United States letting that person go. We're not even talking about whether Germany will accept them. It's a whole different discussion. The United States letting those people go, it's going to be a tough sell, like a really tough sell, even more so if that person is not a citizen of that foreign country. If it's an American citizen trying to move to Panama or Brazil, I would not want to be the lawyer on that case. Now, having said that, I mentioned the word lawyer, and that might be your best bet. We can arrange for you to talk to our lawyer here in Germany who can give you a much more direct answer. But I'm going to start leaning toward long shot.
Yeah. I mean...
But we're talking about probation, excuse me. But we are talking about federal probation. The problem lies therein. My grammar just went off a cliff. The problem there is that I don't know that German legal authorities are going to want to take the responsibility of monitoring someone else's prisoner, which means it would then fall to the consulate. In our area, I think the consulate's in Frankfurt, right?
It's the closest one to,
closest one to where we live. And do I think a consulate would monitor probation or parole? I mean, no, they don't have any probation or parole officers there to do the monitoring properly. Man, I would love to tell you, yes, I think it's realistic. I'm not sure I can say that with a straight face.
What I would say is when person A is released from custody, that they go to the judge of the court and they apply or at least petition to either be removed from the probation, or if it's lifetime, at least say, hey, can I travel? Can I go to Germany? You know, I mean...
Can't hurt to ask.
Yeah, that I have heard of instances where people on probation have successfully petitioned courts to either be removed from probation and leave, or they got permission to leave. Because whilst on probation or parole, you can't leave. I mean,
without permission.
Yeah, without permission. You're not allowed to. That's a violation. So that would be probably the best bet.
Justin says that and reminds me of a specific instance that we dealt with where a man in Pennsylvania petitioned the court for permission to move to Ukraine. Now, this was 2 years ago, and the court granted it. The court actually let him move to Ukraine.
It does happen.
And then the war broke out like a month later, and he fled. I think he's living in Poland right now.
Yeah, he had other issues after that.
Maybe. So, yes, it happens. But if you do petition to leave the country, and now that he's saying it, he's 100% correct. I do remember this. Pick your country wisely. Preferably not one on Putin's list.
Yeah. And unfortunately, keep in mind that the U.S. loves to retain the right to punish people. It doesn't want to just let you go easily. Correct. It wants to just keep driving the screws in.
But there are instances. There are instances.
But it is possible. So. That is all of our Patreon viewer questions. Thank you very much for all of those. We are now done with those. Now, we have our YouTube questions. So, I think we could probably get one or two in this episode. This question is from Ed. It says, does a pathway to permanent residency / citizenship exist in Germany as well as other countries like Sweden or Norway? Okay, this is a multi-part question, so we'll answer that part first. Does a pathway to permanent residency exist in Germany? Yes.
Absolutely yes.
Next.
Including criminal record.
Yes, and you've probably heard us talk about it in a previous episode of this, or even a previous video. Yes, there is a pathway. Sweden and Norway, they're a little stricter, from what I've heard.
On certain issues, but when it comes to the path to citizenship, which is, I think, the specific question, naturalization or citizenship, I personally have not researched citizenship in Norway or Sweden. I have not been to Sweden yet. Norway and Denmark I go to rather often, getting ready to go again. But I have not researched citizenship there, so I cannot speak with authority. However, I think what we should do is take a note, and let's address that in a future video.
Fair enough. How do you renew your passport when you are in Europe? Not difficult.
At all.
Pain in the butt, but is not difficult. Well,
you have to take a day off from work.
It's a little time consuming, but that's about it. That really all you have to do is apply to whichever consulate is closest to you. For example, Frankfurt. You know,
for us,
you
Frankfurt.
You can go to the website, the American Consulate website, find the information for the Frankfurt Consulate, make an appointment there for passport services, fill out the application online. It's all fill in the blank stuff. It takes about 5-10 minutes. You pay the fee, you make an appointment to go up there. You go up there, and that's
it's a day off from work.
Yeah, it's really not that difficult. You go up there, submit the documents, and they will send you the passport to whatever address you have while living here.
It's that easy.
It's really, it's more of a pain in the ass, but it's not difficult.
I would like to point out something real quick, if I may. Because I saw something in a movie. Jason Bourne, the new Jason Bourne movies, he went into an American embassy somewhere and they tried to arrest him and they tried to confine him. He ended up beating people up and
I
leaving.
can't remember which country that was filmed in.
I almost want to say it was either Switzerland or Germany.
Yeah, probably.
But here's the reality. Forget what you see in movies and TV, because that's almost always bullshit. When you step onto the grounds of the consulate or an embassy here in Germany or anywhere in Europe, anywhere in the world, that is not American soil. Now, I know you've heard that your whole life. I'm telling you, Google it for yourself. That soil is not American soil.
You are also not Jason Bourne.
You're also not Jason. I never was, even in my heyday.
So you don't have to worry about that.
No. So they cannot arrest you. If they can arrest you for trespassing, but they cannot arrest you on Americans cannot arrest you inside the American embassy or consulate. Cannot happen. The most they can do is call the German police to have them come in and arrest you. But German police are not going to arrest you unless there is a damn good reason and they have a court order from a German judge. So the American embassy or consulate would have to apply to a German judge, get an arrest warrant issued, and then have the German police come and arrest you. That's the reality of life outside the United States, because the United States lives in this fishbowl. I don't want to get started. Everything that you've been led to believe about the world is not the way it is once you get out of the United States and find out that there are other sources of information and media. The only point I'm trying to make here, because I just realized I'm going on a rant, is that you do not need to fear going to the consulate or embassy. You don't have to fear that they're going to detain you or put you in handcuffs and send you back to the U.S. Not happening. Cannot happen.
Also, just so you don't have to live with that fear or paranoia, don't break any laws when you come here.
That's simple.
I mean, if you do everything you're supposed to do, then you're fine. You don't even have to have that fear.
Correct.
I get it. The PTSD is real.
Yes.
I totally understand why you would feel that way, but you don't need to. You know, they are not going to come after you for anything even minor. You know, if you did something major, then you have bigger problems than going to renew your passport.
Correct.
I mean, they're going to be actively looking for you at that point. So, no, I understand the fear, but it's unfounded, and you don't have to worry about going to the consulate to renew your passport.
And one other point to add to that, when we talk about committing crimes in Germany, obviously you're not coming over with the intent of committing murder or committing an armed robbery. We get that. But we say it in almost every video. Do not lie to the German government, because if you lie in the visa or visa application or the residence application, if you lie, that is a federal crime.
Yes,
they will serve you a notice to get out of the country in 30 days, and they will prosecute you if you stay.
They take that pretty seriously.
Do not lie. And he's right. We completely recognize the PTSD. It took me years to get over my circumstances in prison. We get it. And we understand the fear of telling the truth to authorities, because telling the truth to authorities in the United States is almost always a bad idea. It is not like that here. And I know I talk with close friends who are now living in Germany, and they tell me, man, everything you said sounded like a fairy tale, like such a place couldn't really exist. They come over here and they find out it really does exist. Just today, I was walking, or not yet today, yesterday I was talking with Gus, and we were walking up the mountain to where we live, where Justin and I live right here. And it was cold, and the sun was going down, and all the lights were on in the valley beneath us. And he made the remark that we are so lucky, so blessed to be living here. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And had we not taken that initial step, had we not had the courage to come over here, and I'm including the man sitting next to me, you wouldn't believe it, would you?
Nope. Definitely.
So please do not lie, because it is a crime to lie to the government over here.
And last but not least, do you have to report your travels to the embassy if you want to take a trip into another country? No.
I'm not sure of the question.
Do you have to report your travels to the U.S. embassy?
Well, I mean, people who come over here under that law that I'm not going to name when they come over here, before they come, they have to provide an itinerary to the sheriff's office and to the State Department about where you're going to be. Once you get here, nobody's keeping track of where you're going.
Exactly.
I can't say it any clearer than that. Nobody cares. Don't come over here and commit a crime. I mean, that's the primary issue. Nobody's keeping track of you. The CIA is not spending its resources on you. The NSA is not trying to track your cell phone or track your banking records where you're drawing money out of the ATM. Nobody cares. Come over here. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy freedom. Just saying. I need a church fan.
Yeah, exactly.
I just feel like I need
Yeah,
a church
so this isn't, they're not going to give a crap about your IML requirements or anything like that. So you don't have to report anything. You're supposed to have already done that, before you came over here. So there's nobody to report to.
No, there's nobody tracking you.
Yeah.
And since you don't need your passport to travel internally in Europe,
Exactly.
I mean, like literally, who would know? The only way they could track you is through your phone, like tracking your cell phone or where you're drawing money out of an ATM. Nobody's doing that. No.
Exactly.
Child, please. They don't have time for that.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. And that's going to do it for this episode. And we will be back hopefully shortly with another one because we got plenty more questions to go.
Well, yes, we have many pages. So you know that if you're not satisfied with your situation, if you're not pleased with it, then you need to do something about it. And thankfully, we're here to help you in that regard. And just by tuning into our Q&As, you're taking the first steps toward your own freedom, taking control of your own life. You are welcome to visit us on Patreon. You are welcome to ask your questions to us directly on Patreon in case you didn't want, your questions published online or if you want to talk about it in detail. Until next time, my friends, ciao.
Ciao.